Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another review for Boruto Naruto Next Generations, episode 293. And now that episode 293 is done in the book, man, do we got a lot to talk about for this Boruto Part 1 series finale. Because, dude, that opening montage where you have Naruto with all those flashbacks as he's thinking about Boruto as he's been growing up throughout the events of Part 1, as well as that animated sequence from Naruto Chapter 700 where Naruto has his hand on top of Boruto's head after Boruto paints a Hokage monument, and he tells him like, hey, I'm the Hokage. Being the Hokage is gonna put the village in front of you. And then when you follow that up a few shots later where Naruto is thinking about Hinata holding a newborn Boruto in her arms and Naruto reaching out to grab his son, and Boruto wraps his hands around his finger, and then you shift over to Naruto having the mental breakdown where he's no longer in sage mode because he's just completely shattered mentally. And Naruto, his voice slowly begins to start going from sounding dead inside to cracking, and then the emotion just spilling over as he says Boruto's name. That whole sequence was so well done. I love what we got here, man. Distraught Naruto absolutely stole the opening sequence, man. And what makes it so bone chilling is that Kawaki is just staring on with no mercy in his eyes, and that's foreshadowing for what we get at the end of the episode itself, which that whole ending is the perfect way to cap off the end of Boruto Part 1. This was a great way to wrap it up. So with the initial thoughts out of the way, let's back things up and let's get into the final review for Boruto Naruto Next Generations until the anime comes off of its hiatus. So the episode itself opens up with Code watching on in shock as he's holding Shikamaru hostage, and he's talking to Ada, and Ada reminds him like, hey, you should be more than just shocked right now. You should be pretty upset because you needed Boruto alive in order to feed him to the divine tree. I can't tell you how you're gonna go about doing what you're gonna do, but you can't feed Kawaki to the divine tree. Ada makes that much clear, and you see how Code realizes that they're at an impasse at this point because Code's mind obviously was shifting over to the fact that he needs to feed Kawaki to the divine tree now, and you know that's probably his preference because there's no love lost between the two of them. However, as Code is talking to Ada, Kawaki begins approaching, and Code makes the mistake of thinking he can use Shikamaru as leverage against Kawaki. Kawaki says like, hey, I don't care about Shikamaru. Kill him if you want to. I'm going to kill you. And Kawaki takes a step further and he says like, hey, if I could kill my brother, what makes you think I won't kill you? And once Code hears that, he knows like, okay, this is it. I got to get out of here. But before he can go through his claw marks, Kawaki just shrinks them right away. And Code realizes, okay, he's using Sukuna Hikona, and he tries to make another set of claw marks and he can't do it because Kawaki shrinks them right away, which that lets Code know the only way he's gonna get out of here is if he fights his way out of a corner. And when this sequence takes place, there's some disrespectful moments. Like, Code fans, I know you guys wanted like some extra sequences. I don't know if you wanted this extra sequence. This man Kawaki just grabs Code by the face and just shoves him so hard backwards that he goes crashing into a boulder, and Kawaki almost stomps his face in. Like, if this man would have said yeehaw, I would have lost it. As Shikamaru watches the fight, Shikamaru goes over to Naruto and he makes the right assumption. He says like, hey, Kawaki's got the upper hand right now. If we help him out, we can end Code once and for all. But Naruto, he's not having it. Naruto's too shocked. You can see that he's trying to hold back the tears because he's holding his dead son. Boruto's not responding. Naruto's still in shock, and we don't have Shikamaru say like, oh my god, he's out of sage mode. I like that they omitted that line because it's obvious of why Naruto can't maintain sage mode right now. However, when the fight starts shifting back over towards the Code, we just see that Kawaki is bullying Code. Like, the only thing that makes this worse is a beatdown that's coming for Code later on in the series, but it's one of those things where you see the irony in Naruto because in the flashbacks where they adapted the panel for chapter 700 where Naruto tells Boruto in the Naruto manga like, hey, I'm gonna have to put the village in front of you. My duty as Hokage is more important than my duty as a father. But you see how Naruto's words are one thing, but his actions are another thing, because the sight of his son is what's driving him on edge right now. And as this fight between Code and Kawaki rages on, Kawaki is able to shoot those chakra rods into Code's shoulders and restrict some of his movements, and Kawaki walks up and he's about to fire off one of those ninja tech blasts, and as it gets ready to shoot out of his karma seal, you can tell that Code's shocked, and we get this beautifully done explosion, and you see how Shikamaru is bracing himself from all the winds. Naruto has not moved off the spot from holding his son, but all of a sudden Kawaki begins flying through the air and Shikamaru is shocked, and what we see is Code has pulled Damon through his claw marks in order to use Damon's reflection ability to survive the attack, which absolutely pisses Ada off. And when Damon starts talking like he wants to smoke with Naruto and Shikamaru over there, Code immediately just shoves his kid back through the claw marks and says like, hey, I don't need your help right now. But where Code made a mistake is that Shikamaru was able to identify Damon through the smoke right there. Now, before Code can start going over towards the Kawaki to take him over to Ada, Shikamaru immediately shows up, tries using the Shadow Possession Jutsu. Code gets out of the way, and Shikamaru makes a huge bluff, and he tells him like, hey, you've been running low on chakra right now. You look pretty exhausted from your fight with Kawaki. The Konoha elites are coming. You know you can't survive this battle if it progresses to that point. And Code doesn't take the opportunity to press the fight any further, and instead comes to the realization that he can't win a fight like this unless he has his limiters removed. And that's when he tells Shikamaru to let Amado know that he's coming after him. After he goes through the claw marks, Shikamaru starts asking some very tough questions, and you can tell that Naruto is barely hanging on there from his responses, because Shikamaru says like, hey, we got to consider what the other villages will think right now. We got to consider our duty to the greater ninja world. Kawaki is a problem. He's going to have to be punished and reprimanded because he didn't even hesitate to kill a comrade. And when Naruto hears this, you can see him sticking up for Kawaki, and Shikamaru just calls him right out on it. He says like, can you really consider him to be a member of your family, even now, even after he killed your firstborn son? And you can see Naruto's heart just breaking at this point. And you can tell that on one hand, he's emotionally wrecked over what Kawaki did, and then on the other hand, he doesn't necessarily want to punish Kawaki for what he's done, but he's in that phase where he's still trying to struggle with the grief before him. And when Naruto begins to start breaking down, that's when Boruto suddenly awakens and grabs onto Naruto's hand, and Naruto, upon seeing that his son's alive, breaks down into tears. And when Naruto and Shikamaru begin to ask him what happened, that's when Momoshiki resuscitates him, and Momoshiki starts explaining how it is that he was able to revive Boruto. And the anime cuts a line out from the manga. So Boruto right now was at 83% of karma extraction. And what Momoshiki did is exactly what he says in the anime, which is that he took the remaining 17% of the Otsutsuki data inside of Boruto's karma, and he rebuilt Boruto's internal organs, his heart, his lungs, in order to keep him from dying. Because if Boruto were to die, Momoshiki's soul would have been extinguished, just like Ishiki's soul was extinguished, because when Kashin Koji killed Jougan, Ishiki revived into that weak body, and Ishiki was not able to place his karma seal onto another host. So once Ishiki's body completely crumbled, Ishiki, his soul went over to the afterlife. Momoshiki's trying to cheat death right now. However, there are some trade-offs here, and one of which the anime talks about, and the other one the anime doesn't tell you, but it implies at the end of the episode, which is that the anime tells you that Momoshiki can never use Boruto to resurrect. The whole purpose of giving somebody the karma seal is that once it fully extracts it, the Otsutsuki can be resurrected and reborn. However, that does not mean that Momoshiki cannot hijack Boruto's consciousness anymore. Those are two different things. And so what you end up seeing here is that after Boruto wrongfully makes that assumption like, hey, I won, you can't resurrect using my body anymore, Momoshiki tells him like, dude, your fate's only going to get a lot worse from here, because you're now 100% Otsutsuki on a genetic level, because the karma, all that data has extracted. I just can't resurrect in your body anymore, but you, for the purposes of being fed to a Ten Tails, you are an Otsutsuki now, full all the way through. And Code's gonna realize that at some point. And when Boruto starts mocking Momoshiki and saying like, hey, you told me I was gonna lose everything, all that stuff right there was cap, the scene just shifts and Momoshiki goes into demon mode, and he's starts taunting him. He's like, no, those blue eyes, they're still gonna take everything away from you. And that moment is coming soon. And once it happens, it's gonna be a spectacle, and you just see Momoshiki laughing at this kid. And I like how Boruto, the moment that he hears that, his face just immediately changes, because you can tell that Boruto thought that he had cheated that whole situation. Now, after this takes place and after Boruto explains what happened, but leaves out the whole prophecy of blue eyes taking everything away from him, which is a reminder, it's not your blue eyes. Momoshiki never says that in the official translation anywhere. That's a mistranslation the community's been running with for a long time. It's those blue eyes, not your blue eyes. And what I like right here is that after we transition away from this, Kawaki wakes up in the hospital, and upon realizing that Boruto is actually still alive, you see the rage building up inside of Kawaki, and you can tell that Sumire is trying to de-escalate by trying to say like, hey, you know, I know both of you guys had to make some really hard decisions. And when Kawaki says like, Amado gave me my karma back, and Sumire is like, oh my god, I knew this guy was doing something shady like that, Kawaki looks down at his karma seal, and Kawaki says that he needs the power. And you can see that madness starting to creep into Kawaki's eyes there. And the episode then shifts over after you see Amado on top of the rooftop smoking his cigarette like usual. You see Boruto and Kawaki have a conversation on top of the Hokage monument, and Kawaki says, I didn't believe it when they told me that you were alive, but it looks like you're living and breathing. And Kawaki warns him, you're still a threat to the 7th Hokage. Losing everything for you might be something like losing your village, losing your friends, losing your family, but to me, losing everything is absolutely different. Losing everything means that I'm going to lose the 7th Hokage. And you see Boruto putting on his headband in the same sequence like you do in the flash forward sequence, and you see Boruto and Kawaki staring each other down, and then the episode ends off where you see the flash forward sequence where just before you transition, you see Boruto with the Jougan in one eye, you see Kawaki with Ishiki's unnamed dojutsu with the split screen, and then you see them in the flash forward sequence where both of them are staring each other down and going into their taijutsu sequence at the end there. And that's how the episode ends off for Boruto Part 1's ending. This was a good episode. The small emotional touches added to this and the way that they brought everything back around full circle was really great storytelling by Masaya Honda, who was doing the script for this episode. And I like how they didn't fully reveal what it is that Code did, because Code has a contingency plan in place in order to get his limiters removed. You can tell they're leaving it open-ended for the anime to come back. Again, this is the end of Boruto Part 1. The anime is taking a hiatus for production reasons in order to fix the production schedule. However, my episode question to you guys is going to be an overall question, which is, what are your favorite moments from Boruto Part 1's anime? And as a quick announcement, even though Boruto's anime is done, we're still going to be doing some Boruto Sunday content, but for the short-term period, we're going to be doing more Q&As while I prepare some of that Boruto content. This will be more stuff that's geared solely towards the anime. I'll give you guys more information once we drop the next Q&A here on the channel. But while you think that over, click here to watch the Black Clover Chapter 355 review on KRYPTONIAN SAIYAN.